That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. So, Jim, I'm seeing a note here that says, has a Montreal leaders debate become the latest scapegoat for Quebec politicians? What's this about?
Oh, this is too bizarre. This is a made in Quebec story if one ever existed. Because, we have been talking now for months on how whether we like it or not, and when I say we, I'm talking about Quebec voters, Francophone and Anglophone, we're not going to be hearing about affordability or the economy or housing. We're going to be hearing about identity and the big, bad, spooky boogeymen who are just waiting on the borders of Quebec to pounce on it. And now we have a bizarre situation where Éric James, head of the Quebec Conservative Party, has initiated a petition calling upon Radio-Canada to move its Montreal leaders debate to Quebec City, because all the other debates are going to happen in Montreal, Aaron, and we can't have the Montrealization of this election campaign. The old Capitale Nationale it plays a very important political role in here in the Quebec nation, and I'm sure that Monsieur James would like to see that fulfilled. And of course, now that, because things are a little slow around July, everyone's jumped on the story. Every other party leader has said, yeah, that's a very good idea. Let's do it in Quebec City. We could do it at the Chateau Frontenac. Or maybe we'll do it at the Radio-Canada studio in Quebec City. Or maybe we'll even do it at the legislature. I have never seen so much attention paid to background checks before in my life, Aaron. But all that said, will we have a better leaders debate? Probably not. But this is where we are. It's the 2nd of July. I know for some people, it's the middle of summer, it's the big break. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, you got 3 months left to this election, and they're niggling over where to hold a leaders debate based on simple geography. And, it's too Montreal. I mean, never mind that about half the population of Quebec lives in the Montreal area. It's clear that the love affair that everyone is going to try to launch. It's like Pepe Le Pew showing up with flowers for the Quebec voters. They want the rural voters. They want the regions. Montreal can go hang. They're all.
Yeah, but Jim, I don't get it. It's not like people are going to show up to attend the debate. It's a televised debate.
Aaron, you look high and low on that note. The word logic does not appear. Because this is what's going on. It's simple, performative BS on everyone's part here, saying, oh, yeah, we should have this in Quebec City because blah, blah, blah. You could have the thing on the International Space Station. You probably get a bigger audience. But the fact is, it doesn't matter where you do this. What matters is whatever facts, and I'm sure there'll be a paucity of those, coming through from each of the leaders' heads during those debates. So I'll have to wait and see. I don't know. I haven't heard anything from the Radio-Canada. I'd love it if they just stuck to their guns. And by the way, if they're not asking the private broadcasters, Aaron, to do this, it's simply because they understand. Well, certainly Mr. Zam understands that, everyone's going through a tough time financially right now. So apparently Radio-Canada, which is funded by Quebec taxpayers and Canadian taxpayers, has oceans of money to play with, so we'll just move the whole shebang over there. I hope they stick to their guns because it's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. But it's like asking. It's as germane as asking leaders to show up. I don't know, with the number one issue on their campaign platform written on the back of their jersey or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just performative nonsense.
Well, Jim, how much, if any, of this maybe has to do with Quebec kind of being obviously a battleground, right? The Conservatives think they can actually do well in Quebec. I see Eric Duhem posted again today.
Yeah.
You think that's got to do with this?
Well, geez Louise, somebody better tell Mr. James. They got cable in Quebec, and they got Wi-Fi out there too. You could show that. Like I say, you could stage that debate anywhere on the planet Earth or even off the planet Earth, and I'm pretty sure they'll pick it up. They won't have to put no steel wool on the rabbit ears, Aaron. They'll be able to pick up that debate no matter where it's going on. So, no, but the whole thing is just so patently absurd. And it's obvious like, listen, and you're right. I mean, he's playing to that area. But I really don't think that the civil servants who constitute, the core of Quebec's workforce are just a bunch of bumpkins who are going to say, oh, wow, he really cares about us. He wants to have the debate in our hometown. It's going to make no difference. And indeed, I would love to see the numbers on that debate if they simply focused on issues that affect Quebec City, with all due respect to Quebec City. Much in the same way as we hold these debates in Montreal. It's not exclusively about Montreal. It's not the whole province.
Yeah.
So where is this coming from? Where is it coming from? I think where it's coming from, Aaron, is the fact that most of these leaders are completely out of gas when it comes to being actual politicians with something to offer Quebec voters. So they're all going to fall back on the very tattered playbook used by François Legault of identity and language and imaginary crises. And it doesn't bode well for this campaign, I'm very sorry to say. But here we are. I mean, I can't believe that on July 2nd I'm having this conversation with you, but here we are.
What do you make, Jim? Maybe this is kind of fits into the same category. Christine Frechette today announcing she's going to be running in her home riding. So she was born, right, in Trois-Rivières, because Jean Boulet, that was his ex-rider, he's not running again. Why?
Well, she says it's because she's a local gal. She's born there, raised there, learned to love Quebec there, blah, 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 blah. You know what I think? I think, for a change in geography like that, I think they're not entirely sure that Madame could hold on to her seat if she stayed in Saguenay. But I mean, what do I know? I mean, that would be the most likely explanation. That all of a sudden, and look, the seat opened up, so I'm going to go run in Trois-Rivières. Like I say, Aaron, I know there is a real movement afoot among a lot of my colleagues to turn around and sort of rehabilitate the Coalition Avenir Québec as if it wasn't the most incompetent government Quebec has had to endure for the past 8 years. But the fact is, you can, I don't want to say this nice for the radio. You can put a fresh coat of paint on it, but the place is still falling apart. And honestly, we'll wait and see what the next survey says. But I'd be very, very surprised if the CAQ starts gaining ground. And I'd be very, very surprised, quite frankly, if the chorus saying, oh, no, Christine Frechette, what a breath of fresh air, even though she's been there from day one, even though she supported every policy by Legault. I'm not sure how long that particular carefully constructed storyline is going to last.
Can I know you have a headline here about the candidate day tweets. Now, I've obviously not seen the same one. So obviously all the politicians will go ahead and tweet out, but I'm guessing some of the ones who are not big fans of Canada, what did they do?
Well, no, listen, you know what? My hat's off to the PQ and to the Bloc Québécois because for truth in advertising, okay? They turn around. The Bloc has got basically an AI image of what looks like two lockers, one's for Canada, one's for Quebec. And, they're saying, we're going to be moving. For us, it's going to be a moving day. And the same thing with the PQ. They got a box saying, Quebec, Nation, whatever. And they're basically saying, we're going to be packing our boxes. We're packing our boxes on Canada Day for, the Quebec nation. And you know what? Whatever. Quebec Solidaire, they too, they don't focus on sovereignty. They talk about the housing crisis and how terrible it is that, everyone's stuck. And people won't have a roof over their head. Evan Jam I found interesting, if only for a certain amount of frankness, saying, you know what, I'm a Quebecer before I'm a Canadian, but I think, if Quebec can prosper in a united Canada, I'm all for that. Which, quite frankly, I mean, some people may roll their eyes, but this seems to be hearkening back to a very original form of federalism that was espoused by the late, great Robert Bourassa. Right, it was profitable federalism. If it was something in it for Quebec, yeah, I'll be a federalist, but don't give me any problems. But this is the thing, my belief in Canada is conditional on what's in it for Quebec, which is pretty much what this government tries to do, and it's an amazing amount of success with some politicians who have since left office. I'm happy to say, and may not work again. But what I'm intrigued at is Sean Milliard, and I know it's like. Once again, I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's Handler. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. He puts out his tweet, housing crisis, moving day, it's terrible, blah, 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 blah. And you look in and you kind of look at your watch and go, okay, is that it, bud? Because you're going to get some blowback on this. Well, by 7 p.m. On July 1st, he puts out the Canada Day thing, people trotting around with Canadian flags and this and that. But I'm sorry, Aaron, and maybe the next time you have him on the show, maybe ask him about it. It's almost like it's the love that dare not speak its name. The idea that you're supposed to be a Federalist Party, that you're supposed to be. That's part of the DNA. That's part of the how can I put it? The product description, if you will. And yet here we are. Yeah, at 7 o'clock. We just and clearly it was put together. It wasn't AI, but the whole thing. It was almost like you could almost hear somebody's teeth gritting. when they hit send to move that onto Twitter. And once again, I don't think that bodes very well for the level of our campaign.
And you think that's a conscious decision on the party's part or on his part? I guess maybe we'll never know.
What do you mean? They forgot for 9 hours to send out the second tweet? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe it's possible. But the fact is, I like to think that both those tweets were on the deck and ready to go as of July 1st. Okay. Why do you just shotgun them? I have no idea. You know, like I say, ask him when he's on the show. But the whole thing just looked bizarre. And I got to tell you, even with 3 months away from Election Day, I don't think you want to have people using the word bizarre to describe how your campaign is unfolding.
Jim, last thing before I let you go, I had the mayor on the show earlier in the afternoon, took questions from listeners, etc. I brought up the whole idea, I'm curious what you think, of Write on Red. It's come up forever, I know, but I wanted to bring it up because I thought maybe this mayor might be open to the idea. And of course, the answer is, there's too many other important things to do for me to focus on this right now. Can we have Write on Red in the city of Montreal, or is that
absolutely not? Montreal drivers are absolute psychos. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Aaron.
All right,
and before people hop up and down, I lived in downtown Montreal, MDG, for more than 30 years. 6 years ago, I moved across the river to the South Shore. Well, guess what, Aaron? They have right turns on red. Unless, of course, the intersection is shared by pedestrians and cyclists and motorists, at which point, in case someone from Montreal shows up, they have a nice sign that has a red light with a right turn with a red line through it so they understand. It took me a year, buddy, living outside of Montreal, to understand, to actually believe that the cars that were coming towards the crosswalk that I was crossing on like a 3-lane boulevard would actually stop, as opposed to gunning the way they used to back in Montreal, because, I don't know, maybe there was a sale going on at the stupid store and they wanted to get there first. But all that said, Aaron, I speak from experience.
Okay.
The last thing anybody wants to have is right turns on reds. And I tell you, maybe if down the road when the weather's a little more agreeable, you should try living as a pedestrian just for a week in this town, buddy, and see how you might come back on Friday and say, with your voice a few octaves higher, saying we should never have right turns on.
I just don't believe that. I think we do it. I think we do it. I think we try it as a pilot project. Do it for 6 months, see how it goes, and then make a decision based on that.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to go any further.
Fine.
I'm going to say something awful if I do. But Aaron, I respect your point of view. I just pray to the little baby Jesus that it never happens ever.
James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette, who today, congratulations, invoked the name of Pepe Le Pew here on the show.
There you go.
Well done, my friend. All right. Thank you, Jim.
Listen, and you're there for heart-wrenching knockouts.
World's biggest stage.
And breathtaking triumph. 2026 FIFA World Cup. The knockout stage. Every match, every moment. Listen on TSN Radio. Join the Globe on the road to the July 19th final. 2026 FIFA World Cup. Stream it all live on TSN Radio. Available on iHeartRadio.